quick announcement at the end of the video. Make sure to watch till the end. Alright guys, welcome back to another logo design tutorial kind of thing. So today what we're going to be working on is the general coloring and planning out the little bit of the shading and stuff. We're going to take a little bit of time to work on this because there is going to be a lot of detail and stuff that we want to add. So not like a huge amount. We're not looking for a like realistic kind of theme kind of thing going on. It's just a logo after all. But we will be working on a little bit of the shading, and I'll be explaining how the shading and stuff works as best as I can. So first thing that I want to do is I want to open up the other image for reference. So I'm going to go to my folder here. Just quickly open this up, one sec. So let's see. We're going to get the original logo colors. So I want to go to their images, and then I want to go to channel, and then picture or profile pictures, MCreator, and then we can get the original one that we had. So we'll be working with this, these color schemes. We might touch it up a little bit, but I want that green that we had here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new palette so I can kind of see what we're going to be working with. So first thing, I'm just going to draw a couple shapes, just make sure that we have a thing here. And I'm actually going to disable the coloring so it's a little easier for me to see what's on the background. White backgrounds will have a different effect on colors unless it's like on a dark black background. So we want to kind of hue shift a little bit towards the what do you call it, towards the yellow, and I'm going to shift that a little bit over, and then I'm going to increase the value a little bit so we have a little bit of a larger or lighter color. It's not exactly the light as yellow as I was hoping, so we're going to drop it down a little bit more. It doesn't have to be like a consistent color, but it does need to be relatively good for the shading and stuff. So I'm gonna put this one over here, maybe over here, and then we'll drop this down a little bit more, and then we'll go a little bit more into the yellow, and that should be this color. So that should be a good color to work with. And then we'll go back to this green here, and I'm actually going to make it a little bit more darker. And we're going to just select that, paste that in. Yeah, that has better contrast. And then for this, we're going to drop this down maybe 4 there. And I'm going to make sure that I'm on the proper layers and stuff for selecting. So that might work, maybe a little darker than that. Trying to find a medium between the two colors. So it's kind of, it doesn't like, it has some contrast, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to find the right contrast between the two colors so it will stand out a little bit more. So that's a pretty good contrast between all three so far. We'll grab this one, and then we'll shift that down a little bit more, and then we'll increase this towards the blue. And then what we'll do is we'll, that's too much blue. Oh, that works. Just trying to see maybe a little bit too dark on that one. So once we have the palette done, I'll cut back in and we can start working on the pickaxe. Alright, so I got my palette here, and I started with 5 colors. We'll be working in the center for all of them. So this green, that green, this green, or we could go with the darker ones, which might be actually better. So the darker and lighter one in the middle. So we could work with those shades instead. And that will give even more contrast if we need that to work with. So that's why I've basically utilized those colors there. All right, so now that we have those colors, we can start filling in the base of the parts with the base color, and then we'll start adding the shading and stuff for that after. So the first thing that we're going to do is start with the pickaxe itself. So I'm going to select that with the color picking tool, and we're going to just select the parts that I want to basically go ahead and add the color to. So I'm going to fill that in like that, and I think that's good for what we have there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the brown and start filling in the parts where I want the brown to be. And I just selected the transparent color by accident, so I have to make sure that I'm on the right tool. So we're gonna do that part for the brown. And then what I'm gonna do is for the rubies, I'm just gonna also fill in the ones that are on the sides here, just so I have an idea what we're going to be working with. So I could go with other jam colors as well, but I think rubies are a pretty safe one to go with. So, and it goes well with the green and the other colors that we're working with. So we'll be working with that. So I'm just going to fill these ones in because we have these ones as well. So might as well do it all at the same time, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the mesh part for the part down here. We're going to fill that part in. So that's going to be like the fabric kind of texture thing. So now that we got this part, we need to start figuring out where our lighting's going to be coming from. We could do it for like the Minecraft style where it's coming from the top left corner, or we could do it direct down. Or we can choose something a little bit different. We can go from the bottom out, or that way, or even to the sides as well if we wanted to do that. I think what I'm going to do is just stick with the top down. So left right or left top angle. So basically what our light level or light color is going to be looking like is basically with any edges that are let me just increase the size here. So any edges that go this way are going to basically be bright. So basically this part right here, up on that part of the pickaxe, that's going to be very shiny. Same with this part, and probably a little bit about here as well. And depending if the ruby is in or out of the thing, there might be kind of like a lighter color around here, or there could be a lighter color around here if it goes inwards. So it depends on what direction the ruby is. Now generally when there's something excluding from a object, it will cast a shadow, right? So you would probably have a darker green around this part right here, and probably a lighter green to give it depth over on this side, and then that will kind of be like a medium color or no color at all. So, and the ruby itself, it will be kind of bright on these angles here, and possibly even on this part right here as well. And then it will kind of cast a shadow on the other side. So that's the general thing for shading and stuff. You kind of have to plan out where your lighting's coming from. Now I'm going to leave this as a reference point just so you guys can see where the lighting is going to be coming from. So it's always good to draw an arrow or something like that. If you're working with pixel art, it's a little bit harder to do. You just have to kind of remember what corner it's coming from. But for this reference, I'll just leave this layer up here so we can start figuring out whereabouts the colors and stuff are going to be coming from. So we'll start with the pickaxe. I'm going to select the light color there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the brush tool. And well, we could do the line tool as well. There's a few different methods we can use to spice things up with. Now, I'm going to select the ruby itself and go make sure I'm on the right layer. And we can maybe increase the width of this from 60 to 80. And then we can kind of blend this in a little bit more. So I'm going to bring it to about here, and then I'm going to kind of follow the pickaxe part so it reaches the corner here, and then we're going to go upwards make sure we're still selected so it doesn't go over the line. And we're going to bring this up, kind of blend it in a little bit as well. So I'll bring that over there, and we don't want it to go too far over. So we're going to just kind of have it like that. And that should be good for that part. I'm going to actually bring this part down a little bit more. We're going to bring that a little bit further out. And we're going to move the other line for this one a little bit more like that. And we'll blend this in a little bit more with the line so it's more of a smoother edge. So that's basically a little bit of lighting. You can already see that it's really taking shape. So we're gonna also bring a line around here, and we're gonna bring that line down that way as well, so it kind of blends in a little bit more. Now I'm gonna actually do the same with that. I'm gonna bring it out from that part and then kind of merge it in with the other part for the black there, so it kind of fades into the dark part, just to give it that impression that it's there, but it's still getting casted some light on. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll blend this in with the other texture as well, which means we have to bring it out a little bit more. And that should be good. So as you can see, it kind of casts a shadow, or not shadow, but like a reflection. Generally, when you're working with lighter colors, it's like a reflection. And when you're working with darker colors, it's more of a shadow. So as you can see here, this is kind of like a reflection of where the color is basically happening on. We don't have too much more color to work with on this particular side because there won't be too much color being casted onto this part, because when you're looking at the angle, the light's coming this way, right? So it's not going to be really casting a light onto this part right here, but it will be casting a shadow onto this part, so we'll have that part to work with. When we're working this way though, we have this angle which this part gets light on. I'm not sure if that makes sense. It will in a second though, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and go back to the line tool, and we'll bring it down like that, and then we'll go ahead and make sure we're still selected, and then we'll bring that down. Try to get it pretty good like that. There we go. So as you can see, it's already starting to take shape. We might even add a dark shade right here along the part here. Now, when it's casting a shadow, it's not, depending on where it's hitting, it might also do a little bit in this part right here, right? So we probably want to select that part and just add a little bit of color along this line, just to make it a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to deselect this one and that one, and we're going to use that line tool to just cast a shadow, something like this. We can kind of blend it a little bit more too. So sometimes it will take a couple attempts to get the right thing. I suggest working with layers if you're not familiar with the lighting and stuff, because lighting is one of the harder things to actually master. It's taking, like, I've taken so many art classes, and only recently I started to understand the how lighting actually works and stuff. So it's something that will take time for people to kind of get used to and get comfortable with, where it will kind of allow you to know what kind of angles and stuff to work with. Now, I'm not too happy with the part here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this out a little bit more, and I'm going to kind of blend that in just a little bit. So it's like that. That looks fine. When we start adding the shading and stuff, it will start to look a lot better, I think. So as far as this part, I think that's a little bit too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other tool here, the line tool, and we're just going to fill this in a little bit, probably around here. So try to follow the angle of the green there, and that should be nice enough edge for that part. And let's see here. So there's probably going to be a shadow under this part here. Right under that edge, because it kind of folds under, right? So we want to make sure that we have enough room for the shading. So let's go to our colors, and we'll grab a darker green here. Now there's a few things that I can end up doing. Rather than having a black outline, what we can do is we can use a green outline instead. That would require a little bit of tweaking for the outline, but we could do that if we wanted to. If we do that though, I want to use this green here. So I'm going to just see after I get the other green in. I'm going to start with the medium green here, medium dark, and then we're going to see how it all turns out. So again, the lighting's coming from this angle, so our shading on this part is probably going to be under here and then like that. So like in these parts here. So we want to select the green that we want, and then we'll kind of use the line tool to bring the shading in. So we want to kind of follow the outline that we have, and I don't want it too thick, so I'm going to kind of bring it down that way, and then we'll kind of bring it out and down. A little harder to do with this side. So might have to play around with the shape a little bit. Might be a little too thick there. So we'll probably do the rubies next episode because there's quite a bit of them. And there's a lot of different shapes on this, the rubies themselves as well. So we're probably going to have to do that in the next episode, but working with shading, I think it's something that will take a little bit of time to do as well. Like, for example, this part right here, I just noticed we'll probably need some shading too. Not a whole lot, but it should kind of blend in with this part here. So, because it's not going to totally go all the way around, right? So we want something like that. And we're probably going to want to use a lighter green here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select our medium green. And I'm going to just use the brush tool to kind of outline where I want the part to go. So it doesn't have to be really fancy or anything. I just need kind of an outline here so I can fill in this part. So it will kind of look like that when we blend it in, and we could even blend this in a little bit more using the tool here and try to go for an edge, something like that, and then we'll kind of blend in the other one. So try to get as much shape as possible without needing to define so much, right? So you don't want it too much contrast between the colors, because if it is too much of a contrast change, it doesn't look good. But if it's kind of like an A angle like that, then it does feel a little bit nicer. And basically when you're looking at it from afar, it does kind of blend a little bit with that shade. So that's kind of what I was going for right there. It blends it a little bit more. It's still on the lighter side because we use the lighter color and then the darker color, but it still gives it some dimension when you're looking at it from a while back, right? All right, so the next thing that we need to do is we're going to work on the shading around the ruby here, and we're going to go back to our dark mode here. select that color, and we're going to select our green, our medium green, and we're going to start working on this. So want to bring it out to about here, and we're going to try to even this out as best as we can. And I don't want it too far out. It's about the same shade as the other side, or distance, should I say. And try to keep the line as straight as possible. And then what we'll do is we'll branch it out from this side and connect up with that angle. So it's something like that. And you can already see that it's starting to cast kind of like a shadow from where it's basically generating from. So the other part here is where the lighting's going to be darker along this side, and probably under here as well. So we're going to want to add a couple shading parts on these parts. So we're going to bring that to about here, and just make sure that our line parts connect into that particular shape. So we want to kind of bring this in like that. We want to give some parts away from the other color as well that we're working with, because if we get too close with the shading, then it doesn't look natural. We want that middle shade between the two, so it kind of branches out a little bit more, right? Now with this one, we might have to get a little bit more creative, because we need that medium color again, and we'll be kind of bringing it over from this side to that side, and we want to blend it in around here. And we'll grab that other angle and bring it kind of down a little bit like that. So maybe around like that, just so it's a little bit sharper. I've lost the other bubble. Oh, there it is. Okay, we'll bring it more like that. And then what we'll do is we'll use that green that we had, this green, that lighter green, and we'll kind of merge in the two colors here. So using the pencil tool, what we can do is we can select our lighter green here, and we can kind of follow where this part would connect. And then what we do is we'll select that part and fill that part in. And I'm just going to kind of touch this up a little bit more so it's a little bit more straight. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, presentable. And for this side, I'm just going to move down these pixels here. So that should be good. And I noticed that there's some pixels that aren't aligning with that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all that, make sure that it's selected. It might actually be that it's blurred. So I'm going to just deselect these parts. And try to clean up that edge there. Might have been that it was not close enough. So there's some other colors around here that aren't basically aligning either, so we'll have to fix that up. It might have been that there was transparency parts on those parts there, so I might have to clean that part up along the pickaxe part for the border and try to get that as clean as possible. We can also use just fill that in with the border color. That might actually work a little bit better, so I'll do that right now. And then I'll show you what the end result looks like. All right, so we're just about done for today. So what I'm going to do is just show you what I've done. So I've outlined the parts where I want the shading to basically fill in. So all on these parts where the lines connect, I've just kind of filled in a line where I don't want it to go over. with the shade that I was going to be working with. So all these little angles here are going to be of a darker color. So even just kind of spicing this up just a little bit more just to kind of fix some of the edge parts. So when we go ahead and select our line, it should not do that. I might have missed a part. I need to figure out where the pixel is that I missed. So let's see here. Somewhere in here that it's going to be connected to the rest of the shape. So just need to find it. Give me a second and then I'll see if I can get that part figured out. So we know that part's not doing it, so it's probably is it over here? That part. Sometimes you have to figure out whereabouts the line is connecting or not connected. So let me just go ahead and try to figure that out. All right, so I found it. It was a couple pixels that were just bridging over to the other color here. So basically what I did was I just kind of brought the line down that way. And that way I could select just the part where there's going to be green. So then what I can do is I can just fill this in with the primary color. So we can go to the bucket tool and fill that in. So that's basically what it would look like if we were to use the darker color. I think I like that kind of feel to it. So we're going to stick with that for now. And when we fill in the rest of the outlines and stuff like that, next episode, we'll probably be working on the, I would say we'll probably work on the actual stick part, and we'll be working on the ribbon part down here next episode. So definitely tune in for that. And then what we still have to do is the rubies and the gear behind. So we have a lot of stuff to still work on, but it's coming along quite well. So I think that's good enough for today. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out. I have this friend that has their own server hosting company, and they have the lowest prices in the server hosting community, and they've given me a promo code to give to you guys. So if you want to get a good deal for the first month, then you can use the promo code Northwest for 45% off your first month. Offer expires July 19th, 2034. The link to their site is in the description.